National Identification and Registration Bill on track for approval by year-end. Security infrastructure for a safe digital society to be completed this calendar year. And world leaders call for financing for developing countries affected by COVID-19. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Anthony Morgan. Last Tuesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness called on world leaders to action a global recovery plan with viable solutions to counter the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was proposed that more private capital should be leveraged to support the recovery process for small and developing countries.
The world needs a global plan as innovative, ambitious, and impactful as the Marshall Plan was to Europe's recovery after the devastation of World War II. We must seize the opportunity this time around to make the global recovery plan sustainable to our climate and environment, empowering and uplifting of the poor, vulnerable and marginalized in our societies, and supportive of democratic and transparent governance.
Prime Minister Holness, along with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the Prime Minister of Canada Justin Trudeau, co-convened the high-level meeting. More than 60 world leaders participated in the discussion on financing for developing countries affected by COVID-19. Prime Minister Holness asserted that it was very important for all countries to have access to digital technology and reliable connectivity that would strengthen their resilience. He added that this would help to facilitate the increased use of virtual platforms, which had become an alternative to the customary physical engagement.
Also a priority concern is a critical need to ensure that vaccines will be accessible to all countries on an equitable basis.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness was also in the Parliament on Tuesday. There he announced that the new National Identification System NIDS could be in place by year-end. He said the new National Identification and Registration Bill had been completed and was to be reviewed by a NIDS Policy Committee along with a Legislation Committee of Parliament. After that, the bill will go before Parliament and a joint select committee will be appointed to discuss the legislation.
The government is fully cognizant of and sensitive to the legitimate concerns that persons have regarding data protection and privacy. We are committed to putting in place the legislative, technological, and independent oversight mechanisms to ensure the rights of persons are respected and protected. The government will also provide an online forum on nidsfacts.com for all Jamaicans to comment on the bill.
So far, Cabinet has approved the new voluntary national identification and registration policy. Changes include the voluntary enrollment, as well as the use of minimum biometrics, which are fingerprint, facial image, and manual signature. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness says critical security infrastructure to enable a safe digital society is being put in place. The Public Key Infrastructure KPI project, which is part of ICT infrastructure upgrade activities, is scheduled to be completed in this calendar year. Mr. Holness says it will pave the way for the introduction of things like e-passports and digital identities.
We are moving ahead with ensuring that when the legislation is passed, we can actually realize the needs, because we have put in place the structures necessary to have the needs actualized. A part of the needs is the function of authenticating identity. Then the process by which that is done, which includes having the networks to do it, the software to encrypt and decrypt, and the user interface to be able to plug in information and get a response. All of that, Madam Speaker, is now being done under what is called the Public Key Infrastructure.
Prime Minister Holness was back at Jamaica House on Wednesday, where he launched Phase 2 of the Rural Economic Development Initiative Ready2 project. It's being financed through a loan of $40 million from the World Bank and is being implemented by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF.
The second phase of the Ready initiative represents a renewed focus on improving economies of scale for small and medium-sized enterprises involved in agriculture and community tourism, and mainstreaming climate resilience while enhancing market access for these businesses.
Prime Minister Holness says the initiative is important as the agriculture and tourism sectors combined account for about 18% of Jamaica's gross domestic product. ReadyTo will provide assistance to small and medium-sized enterprises and farmers to help them produce on a sustainable level and operate viable businesses. In addition to agriculture and tourism products, the Prime Minister says priority will be placed on the expansion of broadband internet connectivity and electricity. Last week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness paid tribute to the late former Member of Parliament and Cabinet Minister Dr. Donald Keith D.K. Duncan. Dr. Duncan died on September 17 in hospital. He was 80 years old. Prime Minister Holness remembered him as a political force who played a key role in shaping the politics of Jamaica during his time. Mr. Holness says his passing marks the end of a long political career and contribution to the Jamaican society. He also expressed condolences to Mr. Duncan's family. D.K. Duncan's political career spanned 45 years, beginning in the 1960s. He was appointed to the cabinet as Minister of National Mobilization and Human Resources in 1977. He served as Member of Parliament for East Central St. Andrew in the 1970s and later as MP for Hanover Eastern in 2007. He was also a dentist. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us again next time for more of the news stories coming out of the Office of the Prime Minister.